Hi, welcome to the Elle Russ Show, where I deliver content intended to inspire, educate, and motivate. Engage with me online at elleruss.com and on social media. Enjoy the show. I am so honored to have interviewed the following guest, one of my favorite authors and speakers, Alison Armstrong. She's an author, educator, and creator of the wildly acclaimed Understanding Men and Understanding Women transformational online series, which asks the question, what if no one is misbehaving, including you? Alison explores the good reasons behind the behavior of men and women, such as fundamental differences in the way we think, act, and communicate. She offers simple, partnership-based solutions to improve our communication and intimacy by honoring ourselves and others. She is known for her insight, sense of humor, and ability to articulate the human experience and predicament of gender. You can find so many wonderful free trainings and wonderful material on her website, which is AlisonArmstrong.com, and that's Alison with one L. Also, this episode with Alison will be broken into two parts, part 1 and 2. She was very generous to spend enough time with me, and so I will break up that time into part 1 and part 2. Enjoy. Do you think the engagements between December and Valentine's Day are because people are getting it on in spring? And that would equal 9 months around December? Like, what do you think that's about? Or is it the holiday and the togetherness and the family? Like, what do you think that's about?
Yeah, I think it's more of the 9 months is going to be definitely spring fever. It's a good correlate. But also, people have sex in the winter when you're stuck indoors. Let's have sex.
That's right.
Right. And unlike a lot of species, humans ovulate year round. And yeah, all kinds of things, but there's so much family pressure and romanticism. Yes. and public proposals. Some people really love, some people are horrified.
I'm horrified, and I witnessed one, and I was horrified when I witnessed one too. I was just mortified. But I know it's just such a thing. Boy, guys really should kind of figure that out and talk to some people's friends before these proposals. But yeah, sorry, go on. I just thought it was interesting that a lot of these engagements are in those months.
Well, when my later-to-be husband was talking about our grandchildren on our first date, I was like, okay, settle down. And later on, was pressuring me. I said, I will marry you when the dirt in the street stands up and says I should. And I was brutal. But I also told him, when I knew I really, 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 really loved this man, I said, please do not propose until I tell you to, because I don't want to say no. And I will tell you when it's okay, because then I'll know that I will say yes, because I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to say no. But we got to say no, right? When we know it's wrong, we got to say no. Okay. So now I'm going to switch tactics. And this is the thing that can't be found anywhere but in our newest curriculum. And for people who are really interested in this, most people should start at Lux, which isn't gender-based, it's human-based, and it's fascinating. And it will teach a process of honoring, which is what's most needed to have fulfilling relationships, is that we're engaged in a process of honoring each other at higher and higher levels. And it's such a cool program. And it's only like 7 hours of videos, but deep. So the thing that's human that gets expressed separately is, I call it the hierarchy of instincts. And it's not just human. I mean, a tree will do the same thing that I'm talking about. And what's important to understand is that it's a hierarchy. So if you think of it as procreate, then protect, then provide. And that those thens are very important. And procreate, yes, is obviously sex and children, but it's also entrepreneurship. It's artistry. It's all kinds of building, to create and to build. Is procreate. And this is why, like, someone will start a business, for example, and they're in this very high creation energy. And then once it has substance, they're going to switch from this creation energy to, oh, now I got to protect it. I have something here. I have to protect it. And they'll be, having patents and copyrights and insurance and, and the energy of protect is the opposite of create. It's like lead. Protect. It's a fierce lead, a warrior, right? And so when a man meets a woman that is like, oh my gosh, she could be it, he's very much in that creation energy and he's inventing, right? And he's, what else would be fun to do with her? What else could be done, right? And then once it's like, okay, we're going to do this, now he's got to protect it. And his energy is going to shift, and we're not ready for that. And then, so that's where he might get jealous, right? When he goes into protect, she's mine. Possession shows up, and we freak out. And then they're trying to protect us, and that's when they seem very controlling, because they're trying to protect us sometimes from the dangers we present, right? Our own recklessness or something. And we don't take that well. But the most critical thing is in this procreate, then protect, then provide. So most men and women want people to be in a giving modality, like giving, being generous and giving and giving and giving. And that's providing. Take care of me. A woman's looking to see, will he take care of me? A man's looking to see, will she take care of me? And so we want each other to be in providing mode, but unfortunately, how we often go about it literally flip somebody back into protect. And in the worst situation, it, like with criticism, which women commonly try to get what they need through criticism, because criticism causes women to cough up what you need. Women act on criticism. Men have 5 layers of protection against acting on criticism. And so we'll criticize a man thinking that'll have him give us what we need. No, it has him revert to protecting. And if we really go after him, he'll be protecting himself from us. And that's what happens from not understanding what triggers emasculation and not understanding what's happening when women consider that men need to be emasculated, which is a common response to their strength. We're so afraid of how strong they are. And so we'll emasculate them. We'll take them down. And then they're protecting themselves from us. So you have this warrior who considers us the enemy. And then, and then you've got classic, what's your sequence? Is it fight, flight, freeze? Is it freeze, flight, fight? Is it, what's the sequence? And so a man whose sequence, right, if his reaction to feeling attacked is fight, in fact, all of them, I'm going to do a Facebook thing about this. I know all of the fight, flight, freeze reactions to experiencing being attacked, to perceiving a threat, they end up with both men and women getting accused of narcissism when they're not. They're just terrified. They're terrified and they're attacking. They're terrified and they're shutting down and withholding. They're terrified and they're just fleeing. He ghosted me, which is another myth, ghosting. No, he's just busy. he's not
focused.
Not talking to you. Exactly. He's focused. He'll come up for air.
The emasculating thing, really, I got to tell you, that's like a really awful pet peeve, really terrible thing for me. If I am, when I see, it's so painful, because if a woman is emasculating a man in front of everyone, like I remember one time a couple was around and the guy said something like, oh yeah, I love fishing too. And then the wife goes, oh really? Like, when's the last time you went fishing? And I thought, oh my God, I want to murder everyone here. Number one, the woman is just looking like such a bitch. And secondly, now he looks weak because he didn't stand up for himself and now he's in it. And that gets the stereotype of the ball and chain. And I just, in my experience over dating, I've noticed like, I don't want to date my brother. Don't poke at me and treat me like a little sister. No one wants to fuck their brother. Don't like fart on me every day. Like, yeah, I had another brother, did like, that kind of stuff. And then also no one wants to F their mom either. If you're nagging a guy all the time, like that's just, it's so awful. And I think uncomfortable to witness for me personally, because I feel awful when a man is emasculated. It just like hurts me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I ended up here. I went from hand me your balls and then we'll talk. I didn't know how much I did it. I didn't know how terrified I was of men. I didn't know. Early on, I think I was 16, men are bigger and stronger and they'll hurt you. And so it was just the best defense is a good offense. And I used everything to diminish their sense of vitality and power, right? Mm-hmm. I did everything to keep them off balance. That was my go-to. If they were off balance, they couldn't attack. Mm-hmm. And so I used everything to keep them off balance. And I didn't know. I didn't know until I was 30 years old and my colleague was called a frog farmer. I didn't know that I was kicking dogs. Mm-hmm. Men have been accused of being dogs. Like, oh, he's such a dog. Yeah, they're dogs. They want to please you. They want affection. They'll greet you at the door, with just as much enthusiasm as 10 minutes ago. They love you. They're loyal. They'll want to bring you anything. Here's a stick. Here's a ball. What can I bring you? What can I bring you? And yes, if you kick them, they will either run away or they will bite you and then run away. and you'll blame them for it. And that's what I did. I was kicking these incredibly generous, warm, loving, affectionate creatures. I was kicking them preemptively. Mm. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it until, God bless Ellen Hurst, called me up and pointed it out and told me she wanted me to cut it out.
What a lovely thing to do. What a great favor. She called you and said that.
Oh my God. I owe her. I owe her my life. And right. I was acknowledging her in front of a bunch of people and she's so sweet. She said, Alison, I know you give me all this credit, but I pointed to the stars and you invented astronomy. Yep. Yeah, she did not expect me to end up, I didn't even dedicate. They're just so fascinating. Just, spent 31 years now just studying men and watching them and, okay, what would be the good reason for that? And what would be the good reason for that? And then the most important, verifying with them. Is this why you did that? And I'm still wrong. I used to be always wrong. Now I'm only wrong some other time. No, I didn't do it for that. I did it because of this. Oh, tell me more about that, please. And I still, they're so the opposite of who we think they are. Wow. But yes, after I gave up castrating men, I would cringe in the grocery store. I was just like the characters in the Queen's Code after they gave up emasculating men. Like it's to see these beautiful creatures diminished. I don't know. It's like people shooting unicorns or something, but yeah. They think we're unicorns. And they call us the unicorns in the forest because we're such magical, mystical beings and they would do anything for us.
That is so, this is so wonderful. I think this is so unique. And if people haven't heard your work, I know they're going to run to your website, which by the way, we'll put everything to connect with you in the show notes. But for everyone listening, it's AlisonArmstrong.com and that's ALISON, just one L. Tell us how, you've written, is it over 15 books? I don't know if I could even count.
Well, that's what's so funny, Elle, is because of the way Audible works, everybody thinks I've written all these books. I've written 4 books. I've published 3. The audiobook is coming out this summer for the Queen's Code. It's so much more intense than
great.
reading the book to yourself. Oh my gosh. I had to do it myself. I don't know if I told you this about both Keys to the Kingdom and then Queen's Code. So one's the prequel, but you don't have to read Keys if you don't want to, but it's awesome. I didn't write them, Elle. I did all this research. I studied. I transformed myself right and left. I interacted with other women to help them transform. And then with each of those books, when I sat down to write it, a screen opened up, like up above my head to the right, and movies started playing. And the characters, I swear they live in another dimension, and they're for real, and they're themselves. And I knew these books had to be fiction because we learn better through a story. We learn better when we can put ourselves in the hot seat or not, right? When we can relate to somebody or not. And those books flooded out of me. I mean, I'm not even out of me. I honestly, how much of a child can you take credit for, right?
It just
birth.
Flows. Compelled.
Yeah. And I watched this movie. I typed as fast as I could. And it took about 8 days for Keys to the Kingdom for me to get it all typed out. And it took maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 at the most, for the Queen's Code. 95,000 words to just flood out. And and it's so tender and emotional and sexy as hell. Queen's Code, oh my God, it's hot. So those are the real books: Making Sense of Men, the Queen's Code, and Keys to the Kingdom. And then all the other things on Audible, and they're all labeled on our site. They were things I had discovered and elaborated on and taught people and went, okay, it's time to record this.
Yeah.
And
like these live recordings. And I love the interactiveness of it because you hear, I love the way you work with the audience and, you get the feedback. Those are very interesting.
When I knew I had to write these books and I knew I didn't know how, that's when we started doing workshops. I told my best friend, I need to do workshops to learn how to teach this. And that's where we started in 1995. And, now they're all online, and most of them were before COVID, and now we don't get to do any of the others yet. But
and tell us about, you have programs available. There's a lot of free information on your site as well. Tell us where, if people, I know people are fascinated by listening to this and they're going to want to go there. Where are some places you maybe direct them first?
Let's see. Under free stuff, there's, it's read, watch, and listen are the different sections. And under listen, I would have people, at least 2 there. There's going to be 3. I'd have anyone who's wondering, but what about unhealthy men, right? You mentioned this, narcissism. What about unhealthy men? There's a recording there called Unhealthy Men, The Secrets of Early Detection. And unfortunately, most of the things interpreted as unhealthy are not. And the truly unhealthy men, we try to fix, and we should just stay the heck away. Yep. And then there's another one there called Heal Your Heart, Restore Your Honor. And it's about, it's just other things press through me. And it's really, we're so deeply, deeply hurt by how we interpreted what's happened to us. Mostly it's the interpretation, but the wounds are deep and they seem permanent. And what if they're not? What if a human being can't be permanently damaged? What if everything can be healed? And the other side of that is we've done things that we're ashamed of. We've betrayed ourselves or betrayed our highest values, and we've harmed ourselves and harmed other people. And that profoundly affects our, what I call the deserving equation. We won't let people give us things that we don't think we deserve. We won't give ourselves things we think we don't deserve. And so we actually have to restore ourselves from our own shame, which shame is a beautiful, beautiful and horrid emotion that happens when we violated our own values. And we mostly avoid it. And if we head into it, we actually get reconnected with our own spirit. It's one of my favorite things. So those are there under the free listen. And it's a really good sense of, between the two, who I am and what I'm about. If someone's interested in this instinct business, there's under in our shop section, and if you just hover on shop, it'll have all of the not online course products. There's something called Why Men Lie, Why Women Lie. And that information, it's some of the most empowering, because honesty, truth, honesty, all of that, my second highest value, just after freedom. And my mother's a compulsive liar, and it hurts so deeply. And so I had to head into it and like sort out, why do people lie? And as I did, I have such a sense of humor about it, because I need honesty. I found out how to get it. And like amongst my staff, they know that you will be fired if you lie about lying.
I love
you won't be fired for lying. Yeah, you won't be fired
You'll
for
be
lying.
fired when you get caught. You'll be fired for lying about the line. That's right. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because lying is knee-jerk, and it really comes out to we're born liars. Small children lie. Animals lie. My horse lies. I mean, they seriously. And lying is a go-to procreate, protect, provide mechanism. We lie to have sex. We lie to have babies. We lie to protect ourselves and others. No, don't tell her that. That'll just get her upset. We got to protect her from being upset, right? We lie to provide. You look beautiful, honey. You look you look perfect. You look perfect. And so when we get that, right, and if you need honesty like I do, it's the key to getting it. And so that's also one of my absolute favorites. And there's just all these
you
things
offer
came from me
intensives,
interacting.
which is great, and there's opportunities to even
We
connect
do.
with you on some live. So that's really lovely. There's a great list of these intensives you have.
Thank you. Well, actually, so the intensives are the Smart Singles Intensive is the only place I give personal coaching, and I love the Smart Singles Intensive because it's not about escaping being single.
Right.
It's about loving your single life and not giving it up until you discover someone that you're actually better off with them than without them. But all of our, like under Get Started, so that means there's no prerequisite, I interact with our online students. I think I'm up to about 12 hours a month. So all those courses come with at least an hour a month of, you can get on a conference call with me and raise your hand, and you can ask a question, a clarification, get help implementing. It's my favorite thing about not being live anymore. Like all the critical stuff is recorded, and then we get to talk, and I can customize and update it, and so everybody gets the most update information, because you can probably tell, I'm learning 24/7.
Yeah, you're on fire. Your brain is on fire. I love it.
You would think after all this time I would have quieted down, but no. This. What if all the suffering's unnecessary? And you can suffer if you want. Some people learn through suffering, they evolve through suffering. But what if it's just a big misunderstanding, a big misinterpretation? What if men and women really are God's gift to each other? You've seen it just from looking at it from a primal point of view. There is an elegance. There's an elegance to our instincts and these conflicting instincts. And then on top, of that, human spirit and the desire to be happy and have others be happy, and compassion and generosity. These are all human spirit. And if we stop activating human instinct by being perceived as a threat, by doing something like interrupting a single focused person, that's perceived as a threat. You're going to get a crappy response that you'll probably be upset about, right? So if we can stop threatening each other, like men raising their voices, men hollering, means nothing to them. There's nothing threatening about that to a man. It's like just, it might be annoying. He keeps yelling. We're terrified, and we will fight, flight, or freeze. It brings out the worst in us. Raise your hand, and if you raise your voice, then you're going to raise your hand. That's what it occurs to us very, primally. And even if he never has, when I told my husband I was afraid of him, he cried. He literally cried. It was the last thing he wanted from me. And we can bring out the best in each other and be in awe, or we can keep doing what's normal, what we witness, what we saw our parents do, what's on TV.
And all the stereotypes. You can either fall into that or have something unique that takes some work. But my gosh, I mean, everyone listening here and people who are in the self-development know that it is so possible to change one's perspective, one's life, one's mood, if you put attention to it. And that's why I love all of your content, because it's this is one realm where we are all like, what the fuck is happening, right? Social norms then violate primal norms. We don't know what's right. Guys are like, do I open the door anymore? Shit, I don't know. Like everything, people are confused. So I love all of your work, and so glad you have been passionate about it for so long, to just kind of keep going along with all the changes in our society and world.
Yeah, it's been interesting to adapt over time. When we started, women were mostly, we called it angry and vengeful. and now we're frustrated, confused, hurt, and very strategic. Want to know exactly how to play these things to reduce the hurt, reduce the risk. And unfortunately, once you have a strategy, your brain will literally disregard anything irrelevant to the strategy. Yeah. It'll just be in implementation mode, and it won't take in new information that would contradict the strategy. It's the enemy of being present, and being present is everything to the magic. And if folks just want to work on one thing, one of the things I break down in Lux is what we can control in relationships. And near as I can tell, there's only 3 of them. And one of them is, what are we listening for? And if you break down listening, you'll see it's the question at the top of our mind when someone else is talking. Even we listen to ourselves. And interesting enough, like, what do I think about that? What do I think about that? What do I think about that? That's how we learn so little. Because if someone's talking, we're not actually paying attention to what they think about that. We pay attention to what we think about what they're expressing. And it prevents us from getting the information that would tell us very early on, this could be amazing, or we're just not a fit. And so we do, I love neuroscience and have learned a lot from amazing people like Anat Banyal. And so we do something she calls wrong on purpose. So we take something like, if how you normally listen is, what do they need from me? What do they need from me? What do they need from me? That's you end up with a lot to do and overwhelmed. Because your mind is hunting for, what do they need from me? And it's gonna find it. And if you can tell you listen that way, and then we have people practice their default unconscious ways of listening, like blow them up so that your brain actually notices it and sets off an alarm when we're listening like that. And it's horrible to speak into someone. To speak to someone who's listening, what do I think about that? What do I know about that? How do I feel about that? Do I relate to that? And you can tell how someone's listening because they'll interrupt you and respond. They'll tell you what they think. They'll tell you what they know. They'll tell you how they feel. Oh, that's how they're listening to me. That's why this sucks. It's really quite simple. But if you can, when you switch how you listen, like, honey, could you please just listen, not to solve anything for me, but just to get what it's like to be me right now. Just listen. What's it like for her to be her? Like, I mean, that gives someone access to compassion immediately. To find out what's it like.
Well, and I do that with my friends, Alison. I mean, we like, especially if it's a fellow coach, we preface things. Like, I'll have a friend who call me, I'll go, hey, look, I don't even want to get turned around right now. I just need to vent. Or, hey, look, I'm going to vent. I need you to then jump on my bandwagon for a second, but then I need to turn it around. Right? It's like, thank you for letting me know. You just need a listener, or you need me to hold off to the end, or, hey, thank you so much for helping me as your friend. I mean, that's just, I do that now too. Right. I think that's such a thing people should adopt, to preface more.
Well, and even to ask,
right.
Ask like, this is how please listen to me like this. Or if how someone's listening to you, you're not getting to express what you get to express, and you sort of feel shut down and hurt. Say, I need you to change how you're listening to me. And what? And they may not even know how they're listening, because there's so many defaults. We have a whole list of them, and it's only partial. But then if you can switch to one of my favorites, there's like, if you're listening with the question, what's important to them, or what matters to them, or what do they care about? If you listen that way to another person, you will learn the source of their actions. They will stop surprising you. And then if you listen, what's true for them? What's true for them? Not only is it a beautiful way to listen, because you're not having to do a lot of work. It's very relaxing, but it has you be wide awake. What's true for them? And the funny thing, Elle, is you listen that way long enough, people start telling you the truth. And they'll say, I can't believe I'm telling you this.
And you're like, oh, that's the point. Yeah.
And it's just, but I sat on so many airplanes next to men just listening for what's true for them. And they'd always say, I can't believe I'm telling you this. I haven't told my wife this, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to attack you. I'm not going to try to change you.
You're safe. You're unbiased. Right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's another one on our website called "Why You Can't Trust Men to Tell the Truth." And when we brought it out, my graduates were like freaking out. Alison, what's happened to you? Just by the title, right? And then we sent it to men, saying, I'm always, and I'm the same for women. I am teaching men about women right and left, so they stop criticizing us and stop bringing out the worst in us and have some compassion for what it's like for us. I really do play both sides, but I sent that recording to men saying, I want you to know what I'm telling women. The subtitle to Why You Can't Trust Men to Tell the Truth could be how women convince honest men it's not worth it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, and we do. We convince men that there's no upside to telling the truth. And what you gave as the example of men being emasculated, publicly and not saying anything, part is because emasculation like literally pulls the plug out of the wall, right? They have such a loss of energy. But part of it is they have a I can't win reaction. And men won't spend any energy if they think they can't win, like literally, like the end.
Yeah, just give up.
And women think, if I'm too easily satisfied, you'll stop giving to me. No. The inability to satisfy you has me not give to you, not too easily. If I can win with you, then I'll look for another way I could win with you and a bigger way that I can win with you. And
yeah, it's that whole reward system. It makes total sense. It's back to the primal thing. And I'm so glad we have you to unpack all of this. You've been so generous with your time, and I'm so grateful to have had this time with you and to share you with our audience. Thank you so much. And is there anything as a last note you'd like to leave us with?
Well, honestly, it's thank you. Thank you for helping people understand our primitive bodies. I have eaten, consumed, and not consumed in very similar to what you teach. For it's 5 years now.
Oh, wow.
And
it's a game changer, isn't it?
And
it's a total game changer.
It's a complete game changer. And, from like the way that I've, Hashimoto's, I told my doctor, I'm not accepting that diagnosis. I'm going to beat it.
And you don't have to if you're paleo, because as probably know, but the gluten really ignites the antibodies. And if people go paleo, they can often nip Hashimoto's in the bud without even going on medication. I know now we're off on another tangent here, but people with autoimmune diseases really do need to look into paleo for that particular reason. Yeah,
it's I've eaten the plant paradox way, which is very much aligned. It's a little stricter, but my thyroid is functioning normally.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? Hey, if you ever have an issue, you reach out to me whenever. If you ever have a problem again or anything, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to put everything in the notes to connect with you. And again, I just love your work, and I'm so excited for the audiobooks to come out here soon. On the Queen's Code, you said, right? And the other one? Or is it just
Keys to the Kingdom's already on audio.
Okay.
Keys to the Kingdom's already on audio. And Queen's Code will be out, this summer. It's going to be out this summer, but it's going to be on our website, not on Audible.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for a wonderful conversation.
Thanks, Elle.
For all of your work.
Thank you. I loved it. You take care.
You too.
Hey listeners, over the years, a ton of companies have approached me to collaborate, but I will only promote companies whose products I believe in and that I actually use and consume on a regular basis. So let me tell you about some of my favorite companies that I can offer you discounts for. Rep Provisions, an amazing company doing incredible things for our planet, topsoil, and animals with regenerative agriculture, and it's my #1 source for quality pasture-raised meat and chicken. Visit repprovisions.com and use code L15 for 15% off. I'm also obsessed with a company called Carnivore Crisps. They make a lean, all-natural, and delicious alternative to conventional snacking, made with just real meat and real salt. Totally addictive, and my favorite ones are the beef brisket and the ribeye. Visit carnivorecrisps.com and use code PALEO10 for 10% off. I also love and regularly use Paleo Valley products. They make amazing supplements and delicious paleo products. I use the superfood greens powder, grass-fed beef sticks, the organ complex, and their bone broth bars. I love the lemon and apple. I also use their essential C complex and more. Visit paleovalley.com/promos/Elle Russ for 15% off. I also love Primal Kitchen. They make delicious paleo-approved, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and no refined sugar products, and I use them daily, from their collagen powders and sauces and marinades to their avocado and olive oil. So good, so healthy. Visit primalkitchen.com and use code L10 for 10% off. I also love paleo powder and use it almost on everything I cook. They make incredible seasoning blends, and they also have these incredible grain-free coatings that feel just like crispy breadings that you would have had prior to knowing that there's another way. So visit paleopowder.com and use code L15 for 15% off.